It's another training log. Let's get into it. I'm Carl Ragavan, Europe's original starting strength coach. This is Beautiful Strength. Welcome to the show. How has it been going? So if you followed from last week, my assumption was maybe I had some form of DOMS, delayed onset of muscular soreness, but it's still here, week 2. So I'm more suspicious that it might be a low grade, low back strain. The reason I say that is because my back is very protective. It kind of, it's not so much it cramps up, it's more like it tightens in a way which inhibits me to produce power. So anything which creates a little bit of extension or a little bit of flexion, it just panics. And the other thing which is interesting, which is how I know it's more of a strain, is because my glutes as a byproduct are tightening up as well, which is a very weird feeling, which I don't normally get if it was a back spasm. And again, that's really common if you have a back strain, because the glutes are there to try and panic and protect the back just in case. So that's kind of what's been happening. So you'll see from my lifts, I've had effects from that as well. But saying that, touch wood, this will be, it feels like it's slowly calming down, which again is a classic thing with a grade 1 strain, is that after the 2-week mark, so weeks 3 and 4, and then hopefully 5 and 6, I'll be back to right as rain. So with that being said, I've now moved my programming back to 3 days a week of training, just Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because I'm doing less and it just allows my body to have more recovery as well. So Friday kicked off with press singles. And again, because my back was very cautious, I could very small, it was like a really, really strict 2.0. When we say 2.0, it's basically when you start and you just throw the hips a little bit, and then you're going into more of like a strict press. There's no layback. And again, that was the part which really was affected, because once it gets here and I start to lay back when it gets heavy, my body wouldn't allow me to lay back at all. So this was as strict a 2.0 as I possibly could do, because my back was in charge. So I basically cranked out 1 rep with 110. I was gonna ramp up to 120 to do 115, 120, but I missed at 115. And you know what? I just took the executive decision that day to just call it. The other option would have been to back off to 110 and 105 and trying to crank out singles. But again, this is just how I selected how the day was gonna go. I moved on to pin press. What's interesting here, I filmed this. So usually I can do 120 kilos off a high pin with no belt, no wrist wraps, just crank it out in my warm-ups. I could barely move 70 kilos off, and I had to put my belt on. So again, that really just shows you how fragile the back was to kind of not allow me to push anything overhead. So instead I did some seated dumbbell presses. And again, because it's lightweight, I had to crank out more reps to try and get some form of a stress. So I did the 20 kilo dumbbells, the 24s, and then the 28s, which you'll see. I did them for sets of 12. Started to get kind of heavy on the last set, but I'll see if I can push it up to heavier dumbbells in the weeks following. On the haltings, I was programmed to do 225, which I did for a set of 5. Granted, I put the belt on, which I don't normally need to do on deadlifts right now. And the pause, which is just above the knee, I didn't really pause, to be honest. I just barely pulled it just to above kneecap, which is the spot you should bring it to on haltings. A lot of people go up to mid-thigh, which is not correct on haltings. You just want to go to above the kneecap. But again, the back was just being a bit angry, so I just pulled it to just above the knees and then let it go. Whereas you should pause for a second or two. So yeah, that was week 2 of training through this lower back strain. Still, from looking at my program, I'm still doing my best to stay on target, but making decisions to be productive. This is something I say to clients all the time. If you can't make reps, what do you do? How do you make the session productive? And then you use that data, and then by next week, you're going to be more prepared with strategies as opposed to just being off guard and thinking, how can I make this session productive? But now I know, going into the following week, what I might do when press singles and pin press don't go my way. If you like today's show, comment, like, share, subscribe. You know the business. I'm Carl Ragavan. That was Beautiful Strength. And remember, the barbell never lies.